Welcome back to the CHF Overtime Podcast. Jordan DeLuciano, as always. Second show today, second show of the new season. Before we had Kyle Nell from the College Hockey South, and now we have the commissioner of the Upstate New York Collegiate Hockey League. His second time on the show. He was one of my first guests back in January of this current year. The commissioner of the, like I said, Upstate New York Collegiate Hockey League, Jon Marchese. He's driving to work right now, so we just got the audio, so we'll live with it. John, how you doing?
Good, my friend. How are you?
Good. Good to have you. Good to have you back.
Pleasure to be back.
Let's take a long ride back to the Fed Cup back in March. All right. So the first team I want to talk about is that Binghamton team. They won their pool, went all the way to the finals, and came up short against that Babson team. Actually, I want to talk about two teams. Another team in Bonaventure won their pool, a big game, the last game of pool play on that Sunday night. I got the call at Bonaventure Farmingdale. They knocked them out. They wound up going on to the next round, losing to Binghamton. So how's it feel to have two of your teams, one of them the champion of your league, Bonaventure, have such an impressive showing in the Fed Cup?
Guys did really well. I mean, obviously those two made it the furthest, but I mean, even the other ones that went, I mean, Cortland went 0-3, but I mean, they were competitive in their games. So, I mean, just as a whole, we're proud of all the teams that went there. But obviously, I mean, you got to give Binghamton and Bonaventure credit for going as far as they did.
Yeah, no, and another team was Buff State. They went 2-1 in pool play. They wound up not moving on because their sole loss was just like Binghamton. They lost to the champions. They lost to Babson in their pool play games. So a good showing by Buff State. Just couldn't beat the champions, so nothing wrong with that one. So before we get into some specific like I want to get into Binghamton and Bonaventure a little bit. We got our upcoming season here. You guys in the Upstate League added a couple new teams, 4 new teams, and one of the Quebec teams that you would like to get into a little bit. They'll be joining the Upstate.
Yeah, we can't wait for that. I mean, I don't want to say the word an experiment, but I mean, it is. I mean, obviously there's logistics that play a huge factor in that. We have several schools that are not going to be allowed to go there. Bishops knows that, and still they've put a huge press on basically doing whatever it took to join us. I mean, they're basically playing a complete away division schedule. How do you say no? I mean, you give these guys an opportunity to play. So we'll see. I mean, they played some of our teams last year. Obviously, I vet a program thoroughly before I'm going to let them in. So it was a big fear from the CHF with the Canadian school. I don't know how familiar you are with Salt College and the damage they did in ACHA 3 their first year. And that was the big
straw that broke the camel's back, right? Yes.
So it was a big fear from them that, you know, there was going to be the same thing where these guys were going to come in, go 30-0 and just annihilate everybody. So, but I assured them that, you know, from what I had saw, that isn't going to be the case. So obviously we want them to do well, but, you know, it might open the door for future opportunities with others. But, you know, why not give them a chance?
Yeah, so you expect a competitive Bishop team, but not a team like that situation with Salt College where they just ran the table and were just playing a little bit lower than what they should have been, you know?
Yeah. I mean, and that's, you know, that's what you don't want, you know? I mean, that's no good for anybody. I mean, like you said, they beat a 500 team in my league 3-0 on neutral ice. So, I mean, you know, that doesn't scream, you know, that they're going to go to Philadelphia and run the table. So we'll see.
So you guys got coming up a big tournament in Elmira, November 18th to the 20th, right? When you guys welcome the Empire?
Yes, we do.
Yes. So which matchup are you looking forward to most in that November tournament?
Well, the Twitter poll was Bonaventure Farmingdale. I put one out there just for the heck of it. I forget, it was 100-something actually votes on the thing. We were looking forward to. It was more of a rematch from last year. I think because we get Niagara play Fairfield, at Bonaventure, Farmingdale. Me personally, I voted, and I said why? I said Binghamton, Ramapo. I mean, those are the two teams that made it the furthest. It went to overtime. Who would not want to see that again?
That was the semi-final game. Binghamton won that game to put them into the championship against Babson. And that Bonaventure Farmingdale game, I got a chance. I was calling that game. That was a crazy, intense game from start to finish, back and forth. It was a 2-0 lead Bonaventure, and then it was tie, then it was 4-2, then it was tie, and then Bonaventure just kept the pace up the whole way through and wound up winning that game, winning the pool over Farmingdale. I think I will be able to make that trip to Elmira, hopefully, and I get to call some games during that tournament. But back to this Binghamton team, they lost 8 seniors, I believe. It was 8 seniors going into this season. How do you think they can adjust and fare going in this upcoming year without 8 key players?
Well, I mean, they're strong year in and year out. Funny thing is they've never won a UNYCHL title, so there's their locker room material for the season. Yeah. But they're strong year in, year out. The big thing is going to be how much better did Cornell, the others around them get? I mean, they'll be good, but how good are they going to be? And that's just it. Again, we got to see how much the others have improved, because obviously they've got a mark on their back, not just from the UNYCHL, but from everybody. I mean, everybody wants a piece of them now.
And then let's go to that Bonaventure team. They won your league. They won the conference playoffs, made a great run in the Fed Cup. What do you think they got to do to sustain that consistency going into this next season?
Just stay the course. I mean, they're a consistent, solid program. I know they've made some changes on their part. I don't want to say they've improved. I don't want to say they've gotten worse. But the structure's in place for them to succeed. There's no reason they won't be there again.
Mm-hmm. So we mentioned the new division before. Bishop was one of the new teams in the league. Was there 3 other ones you said?
Yeah, we graduated 2 teams from our probation lower tier structure, Colgate and Paul Smiths. I don't know if either one of them are going to be we want to put them in the contender category quite yet, but we like what we saw from them, and they should be fine. We also brought St. Lawrence back, and they're a sleeper because they were a good program a few years back, and they ran into a bunch of issues that we unfortunately had to drop them. They split with Binghamton the last season that they were in our league, so that could be a sleeper team to keep an eye on.
Yeah, I see St. Lawrence in the East Division with Bishop as well, Union, Lemoyne, and UAlbany, and then I see Colgate University in the Central Division with Binghamton, Cornell, Cortland, Hamilton, and Ithaca. We mentioned a couple teams. Any teams that stick out to you? That I asked the same thing to the CHS Commissioner Kyle Nell before. Any team that may have not had the best season last year that might take that next step next year and come out of nowhere?
Well, to come out of nowhere, it depends if you're a you want to call a history buff or hockey nerd or whatever you want to call. I guess I can call myself that. Cornell was a 500 team in ACHA D1 their last season. I don't know what happened last year. I don't think they know what happened last year, but they are hungry. As soon as the season ended, a couple of their players went to our league playoffs. They watched the Nationals, and basically they've been on me. What can we do? What do we got to do to get there, John? What do we got to do? Who do we got to play? What do we got to do? So, I know they filled up a pretty good schedule, and so, you want to go sleeper team or team coming out of nowhere? I don't know if you want to technically call them that, but that's a team that no one is really paying attention or talking about. Keep an eye on Niagara, too. Niagara, basically Bonaventure was the team they couldn't get by. Did they do enough to get past them this year? I don't know. But, they had 3 losses to Bonaventure. And other than that, they handled themselves quite well, including at the national tournament. So that's another team that will be very good.
Do you see any teams outside of the your league, the Upstate New York Collegiate Hockey League? Any teams maybe in the Empire that still stick out to you as a threat to some of your top teams when you get forward? I know it's looking really in the future, but coming across throughout the season and possibly in the Fed Cup, any teams outside of the Upstate?
Those core 4 that we're going to see at Elmira are good every year. There's a reason why we did that. You're going to see it right there. You're going to see 8 heavyweights going at it. There isn't going to be a bad game, a dull moment there. So, if somebody goes 3-0, that's going to be impressive, and that's going to do a hell of a number on them for their rankings. So, I mean, those 4 are always legit. Obviously, Delaware's got their program back and straightened out from the DVCs. They'll be strong again. You know, these southern schools, I didn't have much familiarity with them until, you know, the Fed Cup. But, I mean, there's obviously several of them that are very good. You don't know who's the next Babson's going to be. I mean, obviously, a few more teams are going to play them now this year. Yeah. So I don't think they're going to be sneaking up on anybody. But, I mean, who knows, you know, the next one that's out there.
Does any of your teams making the trip down south this year? Because you mentioned some south teams. Any south teams coming up to you guys? You guys going down to them?
Yes. So Georgia's actually coming up for a 3-day weekend. The first weekend in October, they're actually playing Buff State, Bonaventure, and Niagara. I mean, they're actually playing the gauntlet. So yeah, they'll be up here, and then Central Florida is coming up in January to play Niagara and Niagara Community College, who's also a team on the rise.
And lastly, just it kind of piggybacks off this about Georgia coming up to you guys, and how important do you think it is throughout the season to get some outside exposure other than just kind of staying condensed in whether it's the Atlantic League or the Empire, whatever league it is? How important it is to get outside exposure to other conferences and to build up that experience against outside teams throughout the season and then wind up seeing those teams in the Fed Cup?
It's huge, and there's a lot of that. And it's not just the high-end teams that are doing that. That's what puts a smile on my face and it puts a smile on others. Like, you know, we've got Alfred State and Albany playing, you know, DVC schools. So you said Central Florida playing Niagara Community College. Cornell's got Mass Maritime, Delaware, Kutztown on their schedule. I mean, the diversity's there. So this is good. And like I said, it's not just the high-end teams that are doing that. So a sleeper might not necessarily be a sleeper if we see them early enough in the year.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, John, I always appreciate you coming on and helping me out throughout my work here in the CHF. Always appreciate it. And again, second time you popped on, one of my original interviewers back in January. So again, John, enjoy the rest of your trip to work. And again, thanks for popping on.
Yeah, sorry you couldn't see my ugly mug today, but we covered the point.
Another time. It's a long season just for you to pop back on. It's a long season. So again, guys, thanks for tuning in. Always look out for the CHF Twitter account where you can watch the live streams, as well as now on YouTube we stream live, and check out the Instagram account as well. Again, Jordan the Luch channel again alongside Jon Marchese. I'll see you all probably next week.